Are you thinking of owning your dream homes? EJ Investment is here for you. Secure our quality bungalows with 2, 3 or 4 bedrooms, or our story buildings 3 or 4 to 5 bedrooms at very affordable prices with flexible payment plans at our Sanyang Seaview Estate, where you can enjoy the cool breeze with modern infrastructure such as tar roads, covered drainage system, modern electrification with street lights, gated entrance with security posts, and social amenities such as gas station, shopping mall, medical clinic, park, schools, children daycare, and a lot more. Our dedicated team of professionals will keep the estate clean at all times, provide security and patrol team within the estate premises, install latest technologies such as CCTV, Wi-Fi, home network installation, solar panel, and power backup system. Also, check out for our additional home facilities and interior design service such as premium tiling, wall plaster, home landscape, fingerprint home lock, and a lot more. Visit our office at Senegambia Kololi Highway and get a free site visit tour, or contact us on 4464838. WhatsApp us on 3259220. Or you can visit our Facebook page or Instagram on EJ Investments. EJ Investments, we are first in properties.
Islamic microfinance is becoming an increasingly popular mechanism for poverty alleviation, especially for developing countries around the world. This microfinance service adheres to the principles of Islam as a form of social responsibility. Yona Islamic Microfinance is the Islamic microfinance of choice in the Gambia, trustworthy and reliable. At Yona Islamic Microfinance, we provide savings products, current accounts, financing products in conformity with Islam. In addition, Yona Islamic Microfinance also offers local and international remittances, takaful fund, management of zakat, management of awqaf, trading and investment, and building of strategic partnerships to bring financial services to the doorstep of the poor with donor projects, madrasas, youth organizations, women groups, and farmer organizations. Make a choice with Yona Islamic Microfinance today. For more information on Yona Islamic Microfinance, call 377-2151 or 9832-151, or visit Yona head office at Tipa Garage, Bakote, or visit any Yona branch located countrywide near you.
Allow me to just introduce the gender platform so that you know what the gender platform is, and then this will serve as my welcoming remarks as well to you. The gender platform is a civil society advocacy group of women's rights organizations and individuals that was established to provide high-level strategic support during the establishment of the transitional justice in the Gambia to advocate for gender justice. It recognizes that progressive national and international instruments can help in empowering, protecting, and promoting women's rights. The platform considers participation and development as a fundamental human right of citizens, particularly women, young people, and girls, and that the state has the primary duty to promote and fulfill. In this vein, it has been serving as a lead advocate in the promotion of women's rights, social, economic, and political justice, sexual and gender-based violence, for the promotion and protection of the rights of men, women, and girls in the reconstruction of national institutions and reform processes through the Transitional Justice Program. On behalf of the Gender Platform, I wish to specifically acknowledge your presence and welcome you to this gathering this morning, to this consultation of a historic bill for the inclusion of women and people living with disability in the political process. I must further equate that this bill is much needed for inclusion in national decisions. The Constitutional Amendment Bill reserving seats for women and people living with disability is a proposal to allocate 14 seats for women and 2 seats for people living with disability in the National Assembly and political institutions. These 14 seats will be drawn from the 7 administrative regions of the Gambia, making it super constituencies or regional constituencies to be contested by women. The 2 reserved seats for people living with disability will be submitted by the Gambia Federation for the Disabled. The 53 member constituencies remain untouched. And I must repeat, the 53 single member constituencies remain untouched and will be contested by all. The purpose of this bill is to enable increment of women's representation in the National Assembly as well as political parties for nation building. Reserving these seats for women and people living with disability has been called for due to the various factors limiting women and people living with disability the opportunity to be represented in key decision-making positions. We are all aware that the 1997 Constitution have provisions for equal participation of men and women, but this is only on paper. De facto or in practice is an illusion for women and people living with disability due to structural inequality and social differences between men and women and conditions of people living with disabilities. For more equitable societies, gender-responsive legislation and programs, economic growth and prosperity, stronger families, increased peace building, healthier women protected from sexual and gender-based violence, more social issues, and good governance, we as a country must be able to increase our women, youth, and people living with disabilities in positions to be part of those decisions making for development and opportunities. The Gender Platform members are optimistic that in passing this bill, it will fast-track development, better and equitable decisions, dismantle structural barriers, and bring positive impact on the lives of men and women and people living with disability. Decisions to come up, key decisions that affect the lives of people, will be enriched in fatigable contributions to generate solutions. This bill will also end on the representation of women and people living with disabilities. During COVID-19, the Gambia has witnessed the plight of vulnerable groups, especially women, being adversely affected with restrictive COVID protocols and economically disadvantaged, as they form 75% of the informal workforce. Maternal mortality has gone up. Women are losing their lives while giving lives. Sexual and gender-based violence is up. Young men losing their lives due to petty crimes. Illegal migration involving women lately. Rising unemployment and low-skilled youthful population, especially among young women and people living with disability. This bill will also enable Gambia to meet and fulfill her obligation for gender equality, such as the CEDAW, Convention on the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, the Disability Convention, and the ECOWAS Protocol on Democracy and Good Governance. It will serve as an affirmative action. We will not only create further awareness of gender equality, but will provide government an equitable measure to bridge the gap, the gender gap that exists in major institutions, and will inform policies, programs, and projects. This bill will be a positive achievement also of the transitional justice program that the Gambia embarked on in 2016. As a body of representatives of the people and effecting laws in this country, on behalf of the gender platform, we are appealing for you to pass this bill for posterity. You will be part of history if you are able to pass this bill. The Gambia can also stand with other countries and boast about women emancipation and people living with disability. You are our champions in this endeavor. The Constitutional Amendment Bill 2021, reserving seats for women and people living with disability, will be celebrated by all and sundry, especially the legislators that will pass this bill. We count on your support to change the narrative of low representation of women and people living with disability in decision making. I have no doubt that we have a lot of work ahead to implement this bill, but the first step lies on you. The women are calling on you to act objectively and not subjectively. We have a country to build with children, young people, and women, and we should see Gambia first. You are entitled to ask critical questions about this bill, make inquiries, but may I also remind you that the positive impact outweighs the consequences and makes it justified and it to be adopted. Because the approaches that we use in our advocacy can attest to this. We visited all political party leaders for their blessing and support. They all agree to supporting this bill. The importance of this bill, therefore, cannot be ignored. Furthermore, investing in girls and women creates a triple effect that yields multiple benefits, not only for individual women, but for families, communities, and countries. And increasing women's participation in politics leads to greater investment in education, health, and agriculture. At this juncture, on behalf of the Gender Platform, I would also like to seize this opportunity to thank immensely the organizations that have helped throughout the process. In particular, UN Women, UNDP, UNOHCHR, ICTJ, International IDEA, IFES, and the African Transitional Justice Legacy Fund for their valuable support technically, institutionally, and strengthening from the very start of the Transitional Justice Program. It's a journey that has not been very easy because a woman has to go an extra mile to get what is rightfully hers. But with partners on our side, and in particular, honorable members today, we are able to register many successes and has influenced the TG program in many ways and ensure that gender is mainstream in the process. This bill in particular is the final product of our contribution towards the reform process, which we all anticipate to be passed by our honorable members of the National Assembly. Finally, as we gear towards elections in April, we call on men, women, people living with disabilities, and non-Gambians to jealously guard the peace we enjoy. We solicit all your support in this, technically, institutionally, and in particular, raising awareness of this bill. This bill is a bill for Gambian women and men because gender equality is a win-win for all. And where gender equality becomes a challenge, since independence and equity measure, such as this bill, can be a start, as is in the case of the Constitutional Amendment Bill reserving seats for women and people living with disability to bridge the gap and usher us in New Gambia. On that note, I thank you all. God bless the Gambia and God bless you.
Honorable colleagues, I cannot express my pleasure seeing the attendance today, knowing that it is Saturday morning and also knowing that we have committee at the National Assembly and also another workshop that you could have opted to attend, but you decided to give support to another member, to give support to the women of the Gambia. I say thank you to all, and God bless you. As we look forward to another elections, I pray that we all see ourselves back at the National Assembly to continue the brilliant work that we have done. I don't think that Gambians knew the efforts that this legislative has done. We successfully took the legislation to autonomous status. And I think the Gambians need to know and congratulate you for the job well done in the past 5 years. Though we are in different parties, we always show solidarity. When we come here, you wouldn't know who is in which party, and I commend us for being a big family. When we go on the floor, we debate differently, but when we walk out as a family, and I think that should be applauded, honorable members. Thank you very much. Distinguished colleagues, members of the gender platform, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I am very pleased to say welcome and to give this statement relating to the Constitution Amendment Bill that we have been working on in regards to the increment of women representation at the National Assembly. I cannot proceed without acknowledging the support of political party leaders, all of whom, as a gender platform, we formally met to present this bill before it was gazetted. We started with His Excellency, the President, whom I shall also take this opportunity to congratulate for a grand slide victory in this past December. All political parties, to our delight, gave their support and pledged to be women advocates, especially His Excellency the President, who gave us his promise that he will never go without women and that his new cabinet, if he would win the elections, would be dominated by women. We thank you and we hope you keep your promise, Your Excellency. Thank you very much. Distinguished Honorable Speaker, also, I cannot move without giving thanks to. She's a woman who supported and guided us through this process, and that can be attested by the President and the Vice President of the gender platform. I can also not go without mentioning, I'm not going to mention honorable members, but I must mention our minority leader, Honorable Samba Jallo, whom I must single out for the support, the advocacy, and the encouragement he's been given to this bill. He would run to point out any error and to guide us. He might be young, but he is wise. Thank you, Honorable Minority Leader, for your support. Thank you. Honorable members, I would also give thanks to IRI, whom without their support, this bill would not have come to reality. It all started with a conversation one November afternoon when I went out with lunch to them, and it has become a reality because they sourced for funds, hired consultants to come up with a draft, which was successfully gazetted and is now being tabled on the 10th of February at the National Assembly. Thank you, IRI, specifically Robina and to Jainaba. Honorable members, women representation is key, and I believe you all agree with me. Otherwise, you would have been in your cozy beds on this Saturday morning, but you chose to be here to discuss this matter. Thank you. When we talk of world perspectives, the Africa the African continent has the largest population in all, and its youths and women accounting for approximately half of its population. Yet, they are not fully utilized. I'm not leaving out the youth. This is a women bill, but I must also make emphasis on the youths and the people who are physically challenged, honorable members. The continent is rich in history, geographic diversity, economic and governmental systems, yet poorest and the most underdeveloped, with its women minimally participating in decision-making and mostly bearing the brunt of poverty. It is thus a global concern to visibly engender women's participation in decision-making, especially through the CEDAW, the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. These concerns are likely not due to restrictive laws, as in most cases, as our constitutions provide for equality. We all know that the Gambian constitution states that all men and women are equal. Yet, that is clearly stated in section 26, gives every citizen of the Gambia of full age and capacity the same rights without unreasonable restrictions, and to take part in the conduct of public affairs directly or through freely chosen representatives. And these rights have been guaranteed again by section 28 of the same constitution. However, it is not the true reflection on the ground. In reality, we live on, as illustrated by the number of women representation at our own National Assembly, with only 3 elected members. And again, I give thanks to His Excellency for adding another 3 members, making it 6 in total. Honorable members, section 28 of the Constitution therefore falls short of fulfilling our international obligations as enshrined in the CEDAW, as well as in the Maputo Protocol. These instruments call for specific measures and affirmative action to accelerate women's political participation to ensure genuine de facto equality, whereas Section 28 merely caters for the legal rights of the women without due consideration to the socio-cultural context with which those rights have to be effectively realized. And that is the reason we are here today, to make sure that we make laws that can rectify that and support the basis of the Constitution. Bear in mind that Section 15 of the Women's Act 2020 also seeks to cater for this situation by providing that every organ, body, public institution, authority, or private enterprise shall adopt temporary special measures as set out in this Act, aimed at accelerating de facto equality between men and women. These special measures are meant for its adoption, but are not stipulated or set out in the Act. Hence, it renders the provision futile. Another reason why we are here today, to ensure that it is clearly, specifically stated, giving provision specifically for women. Nobody is saying that the 53 seats cannot be jointly contested by men and women, but we should also consider and factor the vulnerability of women, be it educational, especially considering our cultural and social norms in this country. Taking women, I'm not saying everybody sees women as senior citizens, but it is in de facto. We are seen to be childbearers. We are considered to be people that should stay at home. That is the reason most of us differ. Even if we want to contest for elections, we have second thoughts in doing so. Our meeting today and the purpose of this bill is thus to address this futility, which shots fall in both the Constitution as well as in the Women's Act 2020, also leading to the Gambia falling short of meeting those protocols that we've signed, namely the CEDAW and the Maputo Protocol commitments. The 1997 Committee on the CEDAW also put state parties under the obligation to ensure that their constitution and legislation complied with the principles of the convention to achieve equal representation of women in political as well as in public life. And as already mentioned, our 1997 Constitution guarantees equal treatment and opportunities, which effectively means that women have the same rights and opportunities as their male counterparts with regards to representation at the National Assembly. These rights, again, guaranteed under Section 28, notwithstanding, we still need to encourage women to come. And that is the reason why we are coming up with these specific seats for women, not to fight men. Your seats are safe. These are additional seats to accommodate women to come out. And be reassured, honorable members, that if we see that women are out there, they are no more vulnerable in terms of representation. This can be removed from the Constitution because it only would take an amendment, honorable members. I seek for your support. And also looking at the agenda, honorable members, since the honorable clerk, who was supposed to come and highlight the facilitation of the first reading, is not available due to other commitments, I would take the opportunity to put you through, not that you do not know the process of laying a bill, but the first reading of this bill is scheduled for the 10th of February, 2022, honorable members, and I appeal to honorable members, once they receive copies of their bill, to go through it. We have our consultants on the ground. They can support us. If there is anything that we need to improve on, we are open, ready, and willing to hear, because this is our legacy. Yes, it is from the gender platform, but the gender platform will not take the credit. It is the 5th legislature that is going to take the credit. Be told, be given the kudos that it was because of them they gave women the opportunity to represent. Like I always say, you carry your head on top of your neck. If you carry your head on your hand, you cannot go far. So women and men are head and neck. So we need to walk hand in hand. Moreover, women are over 50% of the population. You cannot develop leaving behind the majority of the population. So honorable members, I appeal to you to listen, like Honorable Mrs. Tabunjai said, be objective, not subjective, because this is us. It is not gender platform. It is the 5th legislature that would have the credit. Thank you very much.
It's the Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia, 1997. And this constitution provides many relevant laws, etc. It tells us about women, equal representation. Basically, it tells us that women are eligible to participate in political life. Correct, doesn't it? Yeah? You know the laws better than I do. Not so? You're the legislators. Yes, we just try to interpret what you actually create. Not so? So you know it better than we do. But then that's what it tells us. It tells us that the women are eligible to participate in political life. Simplicity. But what the law did not think about is the challenges. What challenges do the women face? We know as men you face challenges, but women face more challenges. So how? How can we help women not to face these challenges? We have to look for an affirmative action. What is that? We put in a law that says, give the woman a step. That's all we want. One stool to climb on. We know politics is hard. And Gambians now are very aware. We're all awake. Everybody knows what's happening. But then women get the backlash all the time. What lipstick did she wear? What did her clothes look like? Look at her hair, it's blonde. She cannot be a president. We've heard all these things. So what do we need? We need the political parties to support the women. How can you do that? We look at this bill. The bill is simple. It's not taking away your seats from you at all. It's just saying add more, so that women can have those seats. So if we look at it, we all know that we had the draft constitution of 2020. And in that constitution, it was supposed to give women, persons living with disabilities, some sort of rights. But we know that did not pass. So because of that, we couldn't take everything out from there, but the women thought, hey, let's take out what's relevant to us and ask for an amendment. It's very simple. So what we want to see is that we're going to enlarge the composition of the election members of National Assembly to provide for reserved seats or specific for women and persons living with disability. The bill is talking about enlarging the National Assembly. So this bill is specific to that. Just the National Assembly, that's what we're looking at. How we can enlarge it to bring women in specific seats. Okay? So this act may be cited as the Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia, Amendment Act 2021, and shall come into operation on the general elections of members of the National Assembly in 2022. Reason why that part is highlighted is because it's been overtaken by events. We know that even if it's to go through the first reading, as Honorable had said on the 10th of February, we still will not have time for it to go to the final stage for it.
We will have time for it to go to the final stage. What we wouldn't have time for is, we would have time. It depends on you, honorable members, because this is our legacy. We don't want to leave Parliament without passing this bill. The first reading is the 10th of February. The second reading is the 17th of February. And then it is referred to the ABC. The ABC can refer it to the Committee of the Whole House, and that can be concluded within 3 days. So we can leave the Parliament with a new law that will empower women. It is up to us, honorable members. What has been overtaken by events is the fact that it cannot take effect in this coming April elections. Because for it to take effect, it must be passed 6 months before the elections.
Even though we know it cannot take effect in this coming elections, we would still like you all to pass it within your term. Yeah? Yeah? Is that clear? Yeah? So the reason why I'm saying it that way is that I don't want members to think because it cannot be implemented in this coming elections, it doesn't matter, we can take our time. Yeah? So to say it again, even though it cannot be implemented in this coming elections, we would still like it to pass in your term. So to move on, the amendment of the Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia 1997. So the Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia 1997, insert in this act referred to as the Constitution, is amended to set out in this act. So what it will do is it will insert a new section. Yeah? A new section will be inserted to be known as Section 60A. Okay? There is inserted immediately after Section 60 of the Constitution a new section, 60A, promotion of gender equality and respect for human rights. It'll come after Section 60, so it's going to be 60A. Okay? So what the actual law will say is that every political party shall promote, which means it is mandatory on them. So shall promote gender equality in selecting candidates for elections and the respect of human rights and fundamental freedoms. Reason why these are also highlighted is because they are mandatory. They are going to be mandatory if it comes into law. Amendment of Section 88 as well. Section 88 of the Constitution is amended by A, substituting subsection 1, the following. So the National Assembly shall comprise, so it also becomes mandatory, shall comprise at least 53 members elected. We know this already exists. Isn't that correct? This already exists. So we're not touching that part of the provision. We're leaving it. But this is what is important now. So we say 14 women, 2 elected from each administrative area. Yeah? 2 persons with disabilities elected by persons with disability from amongst the members of their organizations. We want to give it back to them because they know those that they can rely on to actually implement their needs. 2 members nominated by the president. We'll be amending the portion for nomination that already exists in the current constitution. Okay? We can discuss it further. Then B, inserting immediately after subsection 2 the following new subsection. Nothing contained in subsection 1 shall be construed to exclude a woman or a person living with a disability from contesting an election for a constituency demarcated by boundaries commission. So this means, basically what we're saying here is that even though we're asking for the 14 seats, it's not going to stop women or persons living with disabilities to contest in the general. Yeah? Which is what already exists, so we're not changing it. So this is the presentation of the bill. This is the portion that we want to insert in the Constitution as an amendment.
Thank you very much for involving us in this very, very important subject. There are some challenges that I say we face, and this is the method of voting. Because you have so many candidates to vote, and using these ballot drums will not solve that problem. We have to migrate to the paper ballot. Instead of having 20 candidates with 20 ballot drums for each candidate, because the election will just pass, it cost the IEC over $2 million per candidate, just for the ballot drums. Because we have 554 polling stations, and the ballot drum costs $2,000. So we'll also be putting a bill to make sure that this is addressed. At the same time, it will take care of the diaspora voting, because we cannot lag behind throughout the whole world and being the only country that will not allow diasporans to vote, despite how much they contribute to this economy. So we cannot take the ballot drums overseas for them to vote. And we've asked the National Assembly to approve the change of the political constituencies to 58 constituencies. They can have 5 diaspora constituencies. We'll go around and register them, and they'll vote and be represented in Parliament. So that's important. So we are asking for 5 more seats in Parliament for the diasporans. Also, we've been trying to impress on the political parties to make sure that their nominees to contest for elections will include at least 35% female. Because female are not there because they are not selected. And this is also one thing. But this new bill now that we are discussing will take care of those things. Because we are very, very particular. We are very keen, really, to see female participation. But I'm surprised that they cannot find female in their constituencies to participate in Parliament. That's a surprise to us.
It's possible. It's possible.
Well, again, what we can do legally to make sure that the female, which forms 53% of the population, of the voters, are represented in Parliament, we'll appreciate that. On that note, Sam,
Yeah.
I can pass it to you.
Technically speaking, as an electoral commission, before I go to our position, I just want to observe for the committee that I've been hearing section 88. Let's take note that section 88 was amended in 2015. So if it's to be amended again to cater for this, let the lawyers align the language, because governments are becoming too legalistic before we find ourselves in some trap. Because people are of the notion that section 88 is calling for 53, but there was an amendment to that. I participated in that amendment. Secondly, throughout the whole bill, I have not seen anywhere, because you see, when it's come to election, if you are creating law, the law should be very explicit. I have not seen anywhere. I know definitely there are qualifications for National Assembly election, but we are creating elections for new positions. Let's bring the qualification. Even they are going to be one and the same, but let's link it. Otherwise, when we conduct, if this pass and we want to conduct election, people can take us to court and say, where are the qualifications? So let's link it. I believe the understanding is whether women election or whatever, or parliamentary election, the qualifications are going to be one and the same. But let's link it. Let the qualification be clearly stated, where at least to be linked into the amendment. That is very important. Because as an electoral commission, before you conduct any electoral activity, you need explicit, clear laws. That being the case, as an electoral commission, we do not have any issue with any instruction or law passed to be implemented by the electoral commission. We are ever ready to conduct any elections, more so this election. I've heard the presentation. I have heard that it is not meant for these coming elections in April. That makes us all the more accepting it, because we have already concluded arrangement and plans for this election. Like I said, if in the election day, the nomination day, the issue of nomination form will be announced next week. So, and this has not been tabled before the National Assembly for consideration. So if it should come, then it will take us back. And according to international protocols, amendments to electoral laws should not be done at least less than 6 months before elections. But let's move with this bill so that immediately after the election, we will prepare to conduct it either this year or subsequent year. So we have no problem with these things. Give us the laws, we will conduct it. Give us the resources, we will do it. We have been conducting elections in the past, and we can still conduct elections in this thing. Because these things happen in Rwanda, it happened in other countries. It's all about bringing our women, and like we said, for the electoral commission, anything that progress, enhance, empower, or lift the status of women, we are there. On that note, give us the law, give us the resources, we will conduct. Thank you.
We are not just talking the talk, but we're taking the talk beyond to action. I love the energy in the room, and I'm inspired by the commitment of the members of the National Assembly, and especially the men. Let's put our hands together. We have very active men spoke in support and in solidarity of the women. That's how it should be. And I'm really very excited. I'm very hopeful that we'll have a positive outcome. Representative of the Clerk of the National Assembly, the honorable members of the National Assembly, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. So I've said my, but I need to read the speech on behalf of the representative. But before I go into the speech, I also want to appreciate and let's put our hands together for the chairman of the IEC. This is political commitment, and the CEO, you know, they have not just spoken, but they had also guided us on how well to go about this. Thank you very much for being the strength and the backbone of the women and the girls of the Gambia. Thank you. So I want to thank you all for being here for this important discussion, because a lot of us today is Saturday. We have a lot of busy schedules, family engagement to take care of, but because we feel the reservation of the parliamentary seat for women and persons living with disability is important, we cancelled all of those engagements to be here. So we really appreciate and thank you. This conversation has been on for decades, and the importance of gender equality and women empowerment, now is the best time to act than ever. We must recognize that women and girls, including persons living with disability, will never gain full dignity until their human rights are respected and protected. Gender equality and women empowerment are central to UNFP work. Over the past years, in collaboration with the government and the partners, great progress has been made to protect the rights of women and girls through support to strategic intervention that build their resilience and empower them. And most importantly for the UN, the 2030 agenda has pledged to leave no one behind. So we're doing the right thing. We're not just looking at the women issues, even persons living with disability. So we're ensuring that no one is left behind because everybody's voice is important. Someone gave an analogy, said, if you need a two-engine plane to fly a plane and you fly on one engine, the capacity and the performance of that plane will not be very effective. So if we have almost equal number of men and women in the Gambia, and we are not getting the benefits and the development input from the women, will be changing the nation. So we are doing the right thing by bringing them to the decision table. We know that Gambia is still grappling with a lot of deep-rooted culture of patriarchy, which give rise to limitation and constraint to facilitate effective participation and representation of women, which has come up clearly from the conversation today, that even getting women to come out to contest is a bit of a challenge. But we recognize the challenge, but we are also resilient, and we are not going to keep quiet. If we can get men to talk on behalf of the women today, in 20-30 years ago, we didn't have that. But with continuous advocacy and sensitization, we are where we are. I believe that in 10 years from now, we'll be having equal representation in the House as we keep empowering the women, as we keep talking about it and sensitizing the women. We will not just be looking at the reservation seat again, but even the normal 55 parliamentary members of the National Assembly will see able women coming out to also contest for those positions, and that's where we are looking forward to. So we know we take into cognizance the constraints, the limitation that inhibit effective participation of women in decision-making position, including the political arena. The constitutional amendment, like we have looked at it constructively in the reservation of the parliamentary seat for women and persons living with disability. But this will go a long way in ensuring women's genuine participation in political arena in the Gambia. And like I've told some of my colleagues already, if this goes through, which I believe it will go through, Gambia will become a learning center for many other countries within the sub-region, because there are not many regions who have been able to have this bill. So we have an opportunity, to put our names in the landmark of achievement for other National Assembly within the region and decision-making body to be able to come to learn from. So we are moving progressively. So it's hope that with the active participation and engagement of all the stakeholders, this bill will be introduced in the National Assembly during the next coming session. So we have heard that the next elections might not be considered, but it's a milestone to have the bill passed. Then we begin to work towards engaging the women at all levels. So this is the time when the bill is passed, we engage civil society organizations to begin to sensitize the women, prepare the women, support the women, with access to more information in preparation for the next set of election. So in conclusion, I wish to state that a society of gender equality and women empowerment in our lifetime is possible, is doable, with the current efforts, and a push for political commitment and timely concentrated action is pivotal. Empowering Gambian women will ensure a peaceful and prosperous future for all of humanity, and their contribution and leadership are indeed key and crucial in advancing their empowerment and achieving an assured sustainable peace. So there is no meaningful development without respect for human rights. There is no meaningful development or economic growth without the involvement of women. So thank you very much, and UNFPA is really delighted to be part of this process. Thank you.
fire xam ngeen rek affaire bi xam ngeen fan la skincare la 2020 lañ wax de waaw fii nag mooy Kerr fan Kerr zero tache perfect skincare saa su ne rek niñ ko dee defee rek loo lañ soxlaati rek maanaam bu dee am problème ci seen skin yéen xam ngeen fan la fii ngeen di ñëw suma xarit yeeg am di jàmm yi nga xam ne taas daf lañ sonaloon xam nga doon xeesal bel laka xum éneew ma lañ ko nag waaye just in case comme ni ko gars yi di waxee rek en cas just in case loolu xew xam ngeen fi ngeen di ñëw skincare plus si yu baax rek la ñoo dox nag ay baax rek fu ne la ñoo dem ci réew mi di lañ indi rek nag products yu baax du Paris du Italie du USA du fi mu nekk nii sax boole nañ ci nag Sweden fu nekk lañ leen a indilee products bu dee tamit nag da nga ñuul rek ñu lay jamaa natural beauty that melanin dripping we do have stuff for you as well emuñ si skincare products rek ñu ngi ci cuub yi tamit fu ne la ñoo jaar in fact sax last commercial bi ñu defoon waxuñ leen woon ne dañoo dox ci ay kawar 9A grade rek nag waaw we do have bundles as well hair si lu ne la ñoo dox ñun ñu ngi ci rafetal jigéen rek luy taaral jigéen rek waaw boo leen di tukki tamit bëggoon rek classic suitcase ñu dañoo dox ci ay Samsonite duñ dee indi any brand of suitcases though other than Samsonite comme li ma dee wax rek boo eggee airport dëri Samsonite dafa am nuñ laa xoolee waaw ngeen ne lan nag waaw skin ci moom la ñu gën a xamee nag skin care products ci moom la ñu gën a xamee ñu ngi dox tamit benn tey tamit si ay dàlla man waaye man nag skin care mooy suma specialty xam nga rek jigéen bu sa xar kanam réglé loo def mu jag am nañ Patricia Reiner Kiwi Eye the whole range Lighten Up Gold Tomatine I mean the list can just go on and on and on and on lépp loo xam ne rek luy taaral jigéen la ci yooyu rek la ñoo dox skin care plus nag emuñ si Gambia rek ñu ngi United States ñu ngi Gambia fii ba pare bu dee yaa ngi anywhere in Europe mun nañ la ko mail within 3 days rek ñetti fan rek nga jot say diw emuñ si loolu rek dañ laa consult tamit balaa ñu laa jaay diw dinañ def a free consultation pour wax la rek exactly li nga xam ne moo méngoo ak sa kanam dinañ leen wax tamit ne rek am nañ perfumes fragrances men's shirts accessories we do dresses as well we do blouses I mean we do shoes name it we do them Skincare Plus 2020 is our year of perfection zero task fi mu nekk nii réew mi fii kenn waratu fi task kenn waratu fi am problème kanam kenn waratu fi am problème yi picca boo ko amee dafa fekk ne rek ñëwuloo ci place bi fii
love like fire bring my yobogumba fire love like fire
Agada.
Mbijan aganya.
Albaka.
Mbaka important.
Yo, nga transfer la sto.
Ya transfer la sto.
Ha, code nyingi.
Okay. What's that?
Nsila ID soto. Ah, sa soto. Sorry. Agada.
Mbijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara alla service o tariya.
Mbale.
Mo ki janna nun kunu bara tariya.
Jannom yona forest de bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbali ya bere. Birim koyna fo kato
bari si kodo kino kato nim fo bolong labe
56 branches mola sota Gambia ja
ha
Gambia kono ani Gambia bantala bankol nko kodo kiya bele kodo sifa fo falindiro fo nyaadi lafta même na kodi to poto nin kodi maraw jannom number 1 ti nyonta andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale wolam nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale de dadi mani domorol dir fana beteata Gambia dawda yalo ngam fa kendol sotale je
wo moyo diat
apelenta
baraka ba ya lafta nyelan kendol e bina
yalo bu kanila ko la baraka ba
yalo ndel ciosano lo
baraka
We live in a day and age where technology is creating a world without borders, filled with unlimited potential to improve the lives of the people around us. Innovarex Global Health ushers in a new way of leveling the playing field with increased access to quality healthcare services delivered at your doorstep. Our qualified professionals are equipped with state-of-the-art point-of-care testing technology to conduct tests such as kidney function, liver function, electrolyte tests, body composition, hemoglobin, A1C, and many more services with the highest efficiency in delivering results. The addition to our flagship Wellness on Wheels, more fondly known as WOW Delivery Service, brings the entire clinical experience full circle. IGH has remained committed to creating the future of healthcare delivery. Gone are the days of sending loved ones outside the country for basic medical services. Innovarex Global Health offers a new peace of mind and takes pride in delivering the quality of care we all deserve.